What you are about to see is a Farsight remote viewing session that was conducted solo and under totally blind conditions by the remote viewer. It is being published in October 2024 because of the gravity of the results contained in the session, with the hope that the results will be most useful at that time. It should be remembered that all remote viewing for the future is probabilistic, not a certainty. However, as we get closer to a central moment for the target in real time, the probabilities can have a more narrow focus or a tighter confidence window, which means that events can become more likely even though the results must remain probabilistic and not a certainty. The remote viewer is Yeme Jeaneé. The target for this session is a central subject that is Subject A. Subject A is a senior operative working for Russia who will be successful at interfering with the outcome of elections in the United States through any means and in any way in 2024. The time period for this session is March through November 2024. Without further ado, here is the session by Yeme Jeaneé. All right, Yeme, so here we have deep news. And you have done a session on this, and you're going to tell us what you found. And then just for the audience, you do not know anything about the target or the nature of the project. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you're doing this totally blind. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then after you go through your session, I'll show you what the target is and get your response. So why don't you take it away? Why don't we start with your first pass of A through D and your first flash sketch, and where is this and what's going on?
Okay. So I have man-made base surface with structures. The land is level. I also have some irregular components here. There are subjects near the structures and peaks near the structures. I see multiple structures here. Rocky, gravelly surface. I'm deducting tar and cement. I feel multiple subjects here catching my attention at one time. Subjects are very prominent. There are other subjects that are important as well. Very strong level of communication. Multiple men, some female. I have a tall structure that has an illuminating top, peaked or domed or geometrical on the top, but rectangular or cylindrical at the bottom, going upward. There are other structures nearby. The top is a different color from the bottom.
Okay, so you're basically in an urban area with some big structures. Why don't we go to, you move to focus 1, and you get a target subject.
Yes, I had a target subject in focus 1. They were male, tall, light skin, not pale, but not fully tanned, short hair. Has an accent different from where I am. Seems like English is a second language. I made that a deduction, but that was a thought that came up listening to them speak. Possibly from a different part of the world came up as well. I had deducted Asian and Middle Eastern. It seems very important. Subject A is very average height, slim build, or like average build for a male. Taller than me, dark eyes, small nose, medium lips, like not super full like mine, but not really thin either. Medium lips, yellow, red undertone hues. Others listen when he speaks. The subject, he's highly revered, gives orders, feels like a form of protection. Like his mind seems to be getting ready to deliver a speech. He's tasked. He does not openly trust, always watches his back, a little skittish. I have a deduction of parliament and government or government. This subject, you would think he has done something wrong by the way, he's like his level of paranoia that he has. However, he also seems to feel, like I said, very protected, also untouchable. He walks as such. He walks like I may have done something, but my people got me, Hyper-focused individual, very organized, no chaos, very meticulous, finds disorganization disgraceful and distasteful, like just does not like any form of disorganization. He's very resourceful and nothing goes to waste. Puts things in motion, make things work and bring to order. Feels like he is in a meeting or preparing for something. Subject A. I have a weird feeling here. There's like a strain on the activity. It feels scattered. Feels like something calm that could become something active. Like there's something calm and then there's something active. Like maybe two, I don't know. Anyway, so the first thing that I picked up on was a room with other subjects sitting and standing, very focused gathering. I have the deduction of a debate. Discussion amongst, I have comrades or other subjects involved in the same activity. Intense discussion. The discussion is in regards to heightened activity. The second thing that I picked up on is the activity holds a lot of movement, infiltration, manipulation, disruption, physical disturbance. This seems or feels very big, very thought out, very planned. There seems to be two things either simultaneously happening or happening in regards to the other. So I can't tell if it's simultaneously happening, like at the same time, or one is happening in regards or in response to the other, which is a chain reaction of the happenings that's happening. If that makes any sense at all. The two activities are connected. One is kind of formal, and the latter is a bit disruptive. I edited out the word hostile. Don't know why, but I put this in there. It just seems so crazy. There was a point in time where I saw, it did not say, but where I saw like large city full of subjects, urban environment, loud noises. Area is not the area where target subject is from, but the target subject is familiar with it. Very high energy, chaotic, feels like a deducted ambush or like takeover. So there's that, and feels like two different forms of government I was picking up on. Feels familial, like United States or somewhere close. So I deducted that. That's what I meant by like familial. and the government in or near, obviously my deduction of Asia or somewhere on that side of the world, like a completely different government. Highly thought out plan to disrupt an empire, deduction of empire. I'm calling it an empire because that's the energy I'm getting, to make something fall. But why? Like, there's discord and distrust, issues among the thread, lies, deceit, infiltrate, abuse. None of this makes any sense to me. Or even down to the why, like none of this makes sense to me. There is, in the progress, their subjects are getting hurt in the process. Feels like one of the governments are trying to stop, change, or manipulate something in reference to the other. In reference to the other government. Both seem to know. Both are prepared. They're prepared to do what's needed. I have hashtag survival of the fittest. Like, whatever they do to survive, they're going to do, even if it's disruptive. Or, that whole thing of, do you run this person over in the trolley to save these people? Those weird little scenarios. It's kind of like that. Like, if we got to take this down to do this, then let's do that. If we got to take that down to do this, then let's do that. Type of energy that I'm getting here. Whatever makes us survive, whatever makes us thrive, whatever makes us not, fall, is the energy I'm getting from this. There are things I chose not to say. I'm trying to get to the depth of things. Reminds me of terrorism. Another government or group coming into someone else's domain and disrupting it. That's why I said that. That's kind of like deduction, but the reasons why. Virtually and manually and physically cyber attacking situations is what it feels like. Physical attack in some spaces. I have spread of viruses, purposeful harm, framed as an accident, framed as accidental, compromised military intelligence. They are quiet about this. It's not a loud attack. It's under the radar. But they are making a heavy impact negatively on their targets. Technology's gone awry. AI systems, I guess like some of our artificial intelligence that we have, they're glitching. Phone services are shutting down. Possible darkness, blackouts. I'm seeing blackouts, bombings, possible nukes in other parts of the country. They will start by shutting down technological services, take away lines of communication. My huge question and concern is, what do they want and why? It seems so tactical and terrible. And I can honestly say I'm a bit frightened by this, especially if it is the United States, God forbid this happens at all, or if it hasn't already. I don't know what this is, but I don't want it to happen where I am. I'm scared.
Well, you have here shutting down towers and computers and the internet. Some of the things, yeah. Okay, well, is that it?
Yeah, unless I don't have.
No, you got it. So let me give you the target, and I will then tell you what the target is. Here it is.
Oh, right. Right. I have done so many sessions, my brain can't keep up.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, last month we looked at Chinese influencers on the U.S. elections in 2024. This month we're looking at Russian influencers in the U.S. elections. Now, what's so interesting about your session is that we definitely see a major attempt. You had two governments on opposite sides of the planet, and one was the American U.S. government, and the other was on the opposite. So it fits perfectly for Russia. And again, you knew nothing about what kind of target this was. So, and then you have a situation where you the subject A, which is the one you started with, that's a senior operative working for Russia who will be successful at interfering with the outcome of elections in the United States through any means and in any way. So basically what you're seeing is that the attempts to influence the U.S. elections, so many people think it's just like they're trying to hack into the voting.
Wait, didn't we just do one where Asia tried
That was China.
China, yeah, Asia, the whole Asia. Sorry.
And now this month we shifted to what is Russia doing?
They're doing the same thing.
And they're both trying to influence the elections. What's interesting about your session here for Russia is clearly similarly doing a multi-dimensional attack.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are physical, causing physical disruptions. And then some of them are cyber. So many people think that influencing the elections is just having computer hackers. But that's not what it is. It can be anything. It can be influencing the candidates. It can be influencing social disruption. It can be anything. And it looks like Russia is involved in a multi-dimensional thing to disrupt the electoral process as much as possible. It looks like this Ukraine war thing has spilled out into...
Oh, right. Is that still going on?
The Ukraine war is still going on.
I do not watch the news.
And
It's
Russia
depressing.
apparently... This is Russia's a way to sort of bite back. And they're disrupting the American electoral system.
Don't we have some sort of a bond with them?
What's that?
Didn't we create some sort of a bond or?
We were okay with the
truce?
Russians for a while, and then it went sour.
Who messed up?
Actually, it's a long question of how this actually happened. But the key point of when it happened was around the time of the Ukraine war, but it happened before that. There was when the Soviet Union collapsed, there was an agreement made to not expand NATO up towards Russia, and but some very strong conservative people got started working in the bureaucracy, and they got that stopped. And so they were trying to expand NATO all the way to Russia. And that's really what started the Ukraine dispute, because Russia got really upset with the Ukraine dispute. And then the war started and so on. So it's, the relations with the United States and Russia used to be good. A lot of economic stuff was going on and everything. But then as NATO started to expand further and further towards Russia, they got freaked out, and eventually they invaded Ukraine. And now it's in the worst possible condition right now, where we're not shooting at each other, but it's pretty close. Because they're fighting in Ukraine and we're supplying weapons. Anyway, so it looks like Russia is trying to get back, and they're definitely involved in the American electoral system, not just by hacking in computers, but also being disruptive in other ways.
Why?
That's a good question. Why? The whole Ukraine thing almost was avoided They had negotiations that went on between Ukraine and Russia, and they came up with something called the Minsk Accords. But the West came in and scuttled that, and then Russia decided they had no choice, and they just decided to invade, and it's a whole crazy
How
thing.
is this beneficial?
It doesn't. Well, it's actually beneficial to the military-industrial complex because they're making a ton of money by selling military stuff.
So there's a specific person that they want to win the election here for their betterment.
It's not clear here. It's just
Because
it seems like they're just saying. It's from your session. It seems like they're not supporting one candidate over another. It's just disruption.
It just, I guess, with all of these subjects, targets, as they come, they spark things, and so it makes me wonder. Like, okay, so we did China last time. Now we're doing Russia. Within these, what do they get out of infiltrating our system? How is what they're doing beneficial to them? That's the part I want to know. Because if there's a benefit, I'm like, well, that makes sense. To each their own, right? Like, we got to do what we got to do. But I don't get what our government has to do with them.
That's a good question. Actually, some candidates like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would agree with you 100% and just wants to separate the whole thing and the Ukraine war and, the whole thing. Both Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. say that the Ukraine war should never have happened in the first place. But it did. And
I think one of my remote viewing sessions said that too. You had me remote view that. Like the process behind it. I can't remember when.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not supposed to happen, but something shifted to make it happen.
Something shifted to make it happen. Yeah. It's the whole Ukraine thing shouldn't have happened. But anyway, Russia's now involved in a fierce war with Ukraine, and there's a lot of fighting going on in the West, especially the United States is supplying the military equipment for it. And Russia probably just thinks that this is their way to get back. They can't shoot a missile at the U.S. without causing a global disaster. So they can't, attack the U.S. militarily. So I guess this is their way to sort of say, well, if you hit us, we can hit back. And this is their response to interfere with the election. It's a weird state of affairs. And the only one who's profiting about this are the major industrial corporations that are just raking in tons and tons of billions upon billions because they're supplying they love wars. The military industrial complex, if they don't have a war, they're broke. So they love wars. And so they really like to sort of keep the military going and keep the fighting going as much as possible. Anyway, this looks like Russia's way to get back. And it does seem like they are interfering with the American electoral process. And same thing with China. We got the same results with China. They're both, although China seems to be more
cyber.
They're clever, yeah. They're interfering behind the scenes with the actual electoral process, but then after the election is when they focus on disruption. So Russia here, from your session, seems to be disruption from the beginning to end, whereas China was sort of hidden manipulation in the beginning, and then after the election, disruption. Anyway, for what it is, it's a very interesting session. Yeme, thank you very much, and we have this is what we have, and so anyone who knows our work and knows your work has a good idea of what we're capable of doing, and these are the results we got.
So these results make sense for what the target is. That last one,
some of your sessions are
confused.
More easily understandable than others, but they all make sense once everything's said and done. It's just that sometimes we don't know. Even this one we don't know. We have to wait to see. We have to wait. That's the thing about the future. You have to watch it happen.
I don't want to watch.
Okay, Yeme, thank you very much. And now we go on to the next project.